The question was casual. Almost playful. "So," she said, leaning back in her chair with a teasing smile, "why won't you date?" The room went quiet, but not awkward quiet. The kind of quiet where everyone expects a joke, a shrug, a light answer. He didn't laugh. He looked down at his hands instead. Rough hands. The kind shaped by years of holding grocery bags in one arm and a sleeping child in the other. "I don't have time," he said softly. She raised an eyebrow. "Everyone has time. You're young, smart, kind, women ask about you all the time." That's when he finally looked up. And something in his eyes made her smile fade. "I used to date," he said. "Before my daughter." The office lights hummed above them. Outside the glass walls, the city kept moving, phones ringing, keyboards clicking, people rushing to lives that didn't pause. But after her mom left, he continued, dating stopped feeling harmless. His boss straightened in her chair now. "No teasing. No smile." "What do you mean?" He swallowed. "My daughter was 3 when her mother packed a suitcase and said she needed to find herself. She kissed our child on the forehead, told me I'd understand one day, and never came back." He paused, just for a second. "That night, my daughter asked me if mommy was coming back after work. I told her yes. I lied because I didn't know how to tell the truth." His boss felt a tightness in her chest. "She cried for months," he said. "Every time the door opened. Every time a car slowed outside. And every time it wasn't her. I watched her little heart crack again." Silence. "So when people tell me to date," he went on, "what they're really asking is why I won't bring another stranger into my daughter's life." He leaned forward now, voice steady but tired. "She doesn't need another almost. She doesn't need someone who'll tuck her in for a few weeks and disappear. She needs stability. Safety." His boss whispered, "You're allowed to be happy too." He nodded. "I know. But my happiness can wait." She felt it then, the ache. The kind you don't expect at work on a normal afternoon. "What if you met the right person?" she asked quietly. He smiled. It wasn't bitter. It was gentle. "Then she'd understand why my daughter comes first. Why canceled plans happen. Why my phone is always on. Why I leave early for school plays and arrive late because bedtime stories run long." He stood up, adjusting his jacket. "And if she ever made my daughter feel like a burden, I'd walk away without hesitation." His boss looked at him, not as an employee now, but as a man. A father. Someone who had quietly rebuilt a life from broken pieces. "I didn't know," she said. "No one ever asks," he replied. "They just assume I'm closed off." He reached for the door, then paused. "My daughter asked me once why I don't have a girlfriend like other dads." "What did you say?" she asked. He smiled again, this time, it trembled. "I told her, because the best woman in my life already lives at home." The door closed behind him. And his boss sat there, staring at the empty chair, realizing something that broke her heart completely. Some people aren't lonely. They're loyal. If this story touched you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Because behind every quiet single parent is a love story the world rarely sees. The next morning, his boss arrived early, earlier than usual. The office was quiet, lights still warming up, coffee machines humming like they were just waking up too. But her mind hadn't rested at all. His words from yesterday replayed over and over. "My happiness can wait." She watched him walk in a few minutes later, tie slightly crooked, eyes tired but focused. Same routine. Same calm. As if he hadn't dropped a truth so heavy it stayed in the room long after he left. "Morning," he said politely. "Good morning," she replied, then hesitated. "Can you step into my office for a moment?" He nodded, expression neutral. No fear. No expectation. Once the door closed, she didn't sit behind her desk. Instead, she leaned against it, arms crossed, not in authority, but in uncertainty. "I couldn't stop thinking about what you said yesterday," she admitted. He looked down again, the way he always did when emotions came too close. I didn't mean to make things uncomfortable. You didn't, she said quickly. You made them real. That got his attention. She took a breath. I've dated my whole life. Long relationships, short ones, mistakes, rebounds. I always thought people who stayed single were afraid of commitment. She met his eyes. I was wrong. He didn't respond. He never rushed moments like these. My parents divorced when I was 6, she continued. My mother introduced me to 3 uncles in 2 years. I remember learning not to get attached. It was easier. Her voice softened. Your daughter never learned that, did she? No, he said quietly. And I won't teach her to. Silence stretched, but it wasn't empty. Yesterday, she said, when you talked about her waiting at the door. I realized something. He waited. I've been lonely for years, she said. Surrounded by people, admired, successful, but lonely. And somehow, you aren't. A sad smile touched his lips. Loneliness doesn't survive where responsibility lives. She exhaled, almost a laugh, almost a sigh. You know, I didn't ask why you won't date because I was curious. He raised an eyebrow. I asked, she said, because I was thinking of asking you out. The words hung there, brave and fragile at the same time. I know, he said gently. I guessed. Her heart sank. Then you already know my answer. I know what I can't give, he said. Not what I don't feel. She swallowed hard. For the first time, she said, I met someone who didn't need me. And that scared me. He smiled softly. For the first time, I met someone who understood why love sometimes looks like restraint. She nodded, eyes shining. Does your daughter, what's her name? Lena. Does Lena know how lucky she is? He chuckled under his breath. She thinks I'm lucky because I know how to braid hair and make dinosaur pancakes. Her smile broke, real this time, but wet at the edges. Promise me something, she said. What? Don't let the world rush you. Don't let anyone tell you you're doing life wrong. He straightened. Confidence quiet but unshakable. I won't. As he stood to leave, she said one last thing. If one day, someone earns a place in your daughter's world, she'll be the luckiest woman alive. He paused at the door. She will, he said. Because she won't just be dating a man. He looked back, eyes steady. She'll be joining a family. And for the first time in years, his boss understood. Some love stories don't start with romance. They start with protection. That evening, he picked Lena up from daycare like always, same blue backpack, same uneven ponytail, same excited run into his arms like the world had been holding its breath until that moment. Daddy, she laughed, wrapping herself around his neck. He held her a second longer than usual. At home, the routine unfolded the way it always did, shoes by the door, homework at the kitchen table, dinner that was half-eaten because stories were more important than food. But that night, Lena watched him closely. You're quiet, she said, swinging her legs. Am I? He smiled. She nodded seriously. You get quiet when you're thinking about big stuff. He froze. Kids always know. After bedtime, after the lights were dim and the city softened into distant sounds, she whispered from her pillow, Daddy. Yes, baby. Why don't you have a girlfriend? The question landed gently, but it carried years in it. He sat on the edge of the bed, choosing truth this time. Because loving you is my biggest job. And I didn't want to mess that up. She thought for a moment, then scooted closer. You wouldn't mess it up. His throat tightened. But, she added, if you ever get lonely, I'll sit with you. That was it. That was the moment. He realized something then: he hadn't been waiting for love to come back into his life. Love had been sleeping down the hall the whole time. The next day at work, his boss watched him through the glass walls. Same man. Same calm. But something had shifted, like a storm had passed and left the air clearer. She called him into her office one last time. "I won't ask you out," she said, smiling sadly. "But I will say this: if you ever decide to open that door, the world will be better for it." He nodded. "Thank you for understanding." As he turned to leave, she stopped him. "Your daughter," she said. "One day she'll grow up and choose love." He smiled softly. "And she'll know how, because she watched her father choose her first." That night, after Lena fell asleep, he stood in the doorway and understood the truth most people never see. He wasn't a man avoiding love. He was a man guarding it. And somewhere in the future, love would knock again, not loudly, not desperately, but patiently. Because real love doesn't demand to be first. It waits until it's worthy. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Some heroes don't wear capes, some just make breakfast, braid hair, and protect hearts.